This is video number 3 of Crustabuary, a special Willis event where I look at a bunch of weird-ass games for your viewing pleasure. If you haven't seen the other two, what are you doing, man? Last time I talked about one of the most absurd games I've ever seen, 77p Egg Wife. In the video before that, I talked about an insane dungeon crawler, Dungeons of Blood and Dream. I think this time, we're gonna go back to the dungeon format, but slow it down a bit, because this is not nearly as intense as the other two. Psychopomp Gold, a first-person psychological horror-themed dungeon crawler with an I-can-fix-her type of protagonist. Quite the mouthful, but it is deeply necessary. I think this game is the most interesting of the 4 I've chosen for Crustabuary, because it's less of a game and more of an interactable art piece. Sure, there are technically enemies in just about every level, and one of your 4 actions is dedicated to killing them, but they are sparse and don't amount to anything more than a roadblock. Rather than focusing on combat, this game wants you to drown in its industrial and unnerving aesthetics. This is a good thing. There should be more games like this. It's taking what makes video games function so well, being an interactable form of media, but treating the whole thing almost like a, I don't even know, an experience? I don't think you could describe this in a book, and if you tried to make it a movie or series, too much time would be spent on explaining the setting. Instead, you just get to experience it. Any background info on the levels is usually just thrown in NPC dialogue, but you don't need it to appreciate the pure weirdness going on here. A lesser-minded individual would say it's just a walking sim, but I'm asking you, the viewer of my video, who's likely used to me covering fast-paced games by now, to let a little bit of joy in your heart. Not every game needs to be a turbo speed shooter with 20 guns and a shitty kick. Sometimes, it's nice to just have an experience. Now that my rant has concluded, I'm gonna give a bit of a warning. This video will likely be the shortest of my Crustabuary videos, since I don't have the time to make an hour-long video essay on the hidden meanings of every little thing in the game, but also because I think a lot of it is up to interpretation. Most of this video, I'll likely just be giving surface-level observations of the events that transpire, both for brevity and efficiency. Go play the game yourself. It is $9 on Steam, and that price gets slashed quite heavily during sales, and I promise that it's worth it. Anyway, we begin the game with a cutscene showing the protagonist, a clearly mentally ill woman, expressing her grievances with society. She built a helmet, the Psychopomp, to read people's minds, but instead found hidden catacombs conveniently located beneath every government building. This leads to the tutorial level, which tells you the controls and lets you kill a little girl and get a health vial. We also meet this dog, who is immune to hammer-based magic. After leaving the level, we get to the first world map screen. There are 3 to choose from: sewage treatment, public school, and children's hospital. For this video, I'm just gonna go in number order. The first level is sewage treatment, which shows us the general structure of each level going forward. You start in the normal world segment, then find an elevator, which takes you down to the secret places the CIA doesn't want you to know about. There's usually some kind of inhuman species, and interacting with them will glean some more info on the current area. In the sewers, the main species are these meat lumps with anime girl faces. To finish the level, you need to kill their queen with a guillotine above her. When spoken to, the lumps beside her say this is just part of the process, and they really couldn't give less of a shit. Good for me, because I don't fucking care. Killing her will reveal the first egg of the earth, which, when collected, ends the level. Every time you get one, it plays a cutscene of girl dropping it down an endless pit. This could be an abortion reference, but I don't think so. Anyway. Level 2, Children's Hospital. There are many doors, none of which you can go through, and we learn that the protagonist has a love for the smell of glue. So, down the elevator and... Oh boy. This nurse tells us that this part of the hospital is used to house history's greatest leaders, kept alive indefinitely via biomechanical machines. The 3 historical figures we get to see are Plato, who says questionable things about children, Cleopatra, and Alexander the Great. When we head downstairs, wall tentacles act as environmental hazards, and... Alright, man. The only thing to do down here, other than gaze at the normal moon, is get the keycards from the nurses, open the doors, and cut off the life support machines for the leaders above. This then gives you the second egg of the earth. In this level, we get the protagonist's opinion on the public school system, and... there's a factory under the school with a giant suicidal head living inside of it. Hey, that's me. So in this wonderful level, the head of production wants nothing more than to die, but his workers don't want that. We're gonna ignore that and kill everyone anyway, because it's fun. We learned from one of the workers that this factory is used to convert the useless or bad children into useful things, mainly egg peelers. Well, that's just not nice. We're gonna need to fix that. The left path has you avoid crushers, the right path has an encounter with an evil beast, and also leads you to the pressure machine. I set it as high as it could go, then made my way back to the head and worked my magic. This point is where the original game ended, but here we get more video game. Clicking descend sends us to a new world map in what looks like pelvic bones and or a uterus. I don't know, man. 2 more levels appear: hard structure and instructions. Hard structure starts us off with some philosophical questions on what a building is. Before we go down the elevator and arrive in a city-looking area, there are giant moths preventing the buildings from growing. Come on, man, we can't be showing that in the video. After running around some more, at the top of one of the buildings, we find a mixing device, and the creature next to it says we gotta make some bug spray. We need to go to the 3 sections of the level and get DDT, bromine, and sulfur, which kills all of the moths, and opens the from earlier. This brings us to the taproot, the origin point for all buildings in the world. Alright, a bit of a fuck up, I will own up to that. Let me just get this egg and leave. This is the point in the game where shit gets a little confusing. These real-world segments have been pretty short but comprehensible, but now even the protagonist is questioning what this place is and why it even exists. The elevator takes us down to another industrial area, but this one is less rusted and dingy like public school was. This place creates the DNA in every human as well as every disease and every biological process. The NPCs here are sentient alleles that constantly jump. Very joyous. The main task for this area is to destroy this teratoma, which, if you didn't know, is a ball tumor. Grab this needle, get a sample of DNA from the teratoma, then run to the 3 lock stations around the level, and run a test on the DNA to find out a healthy strand. Then go back to the injector, put in an unhealthy strand, this paper tells you the exact one to put in, and watch the tumor go away. One problem, this also corrupts everything else, as this allele implies. Well, anyway. This is the final normal level of the game. At first, it just looks like an apartment building, but when you get to the elevator, it doesn't go down, it just floats away, and the rest of the level is revealed. This entire area is themed around the inner workings of humanity's minds. I will also mention it is the biggest level. Seriously, this place is fucking huge. 4 paragons must be visited and killed, so their knowledge can be collected by you in the form of the paragon keys. Once all 4 keys are collected, you can pass through the doors and grab the final egg. Now that you've collected all 6 eggs of the Earth, on the world map screen you go to the entrance, and you get a tip for the real world. There is a Mariana Trench under every town. The area we go to is, as you would expect, the Mariana Trench. This is accurate to real life because it shows there are anime girls under the ocean. A light appears in the distance which takes you to a chamber that holds the shed dermis of the queen, whatever that means. And going further down in the chamber takes you to the center of the earth. This is where the eggs have gathered and are surrounding the life meat of the world. The protagonist makes a child from the meat, sprouts wings, and flies away. From this point, a bunch of shit just happens. The girl bursts out of the control of some higher beings or something, and then you take control of another individual with his own Psychopomp, and it's like a teaser for the sequel of the game. The only other game I know of that has done this sort of thing is Amazing Cultivation Simulator. Fucking incredible. I think that's where I'm going to end the video. Like I said, this is a very surface level observation of the things that happen, and there actually is a story going on here. It's mainly revealed through secret levels that aren't really secret, they kind of just appear on the map, but anyway, yeah, this shit is good. Very epic video game. I give it big thumb up, and I'm sure Matt Pat would have loved to dissect it if he hadn't gotten captured by the Chupacabra or whatever happened to him. Anyway, end of video. The next one is going to be the final part of Crust February, next Friday.